Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today, we're going to continue our look at Dark Horse Presents. We're up to number 110 through 112, and this includes the finales of a lot of the running storylines in this comic. So let's get started. Here we have number 110, and it features the first chapter of a new serial called Egg. Kind of an odd little interesting comic. The cover art is by August Hall, who doesn't draw the series, just some fancy painter who Bob Schreck got to come in. I think the artist of Egg maybe didn't think it was slick enough to make the cover. Pretty nice. We got the contents page, and we start off with Egg, Part 1. So, story by Frank Lovice. Lovice? I don't know. Loves. And art by Christopher Schenk. Don't know much about these guys. Sorry. I'm just not familiar. But it's pretty decent stuff. It's a very sad story. It's this little kid, and his dad is raising him by himself. The mother, I guess, just checked out when he was little. And he's abusive. The father's abusive. And this poor kid, he's in that whole, mindset of just like, oh yeah, dad hits me because he loves me. He thinks that's, how love works. Especially like parental love. So he's in the kitchen and he spills the milk and he knows he's fucked. He's just like, oh God, oh God, oh God. And as you can see by this art, this is maybe why he didn't do the cover. It's not bad. It tells the story okay. But it seems like this guy, maybe in a few years, could be excellent. I don't know what happened to Christopher Schenk. So he hides from his father. His father seems like a kind of happy-go-lucky guy. And he's just like, where are you? And he's getting angrier and angrier because the kid's hiding from him. And then we realize he is just an incredibly violent man. He's like, God damn it, you little shit, stop hiding from me. And he's smashing shit in the kitchen. It's like, man. But we realize, behind every abuser, they're usually not this this guy's not that happy. He says, I'm sick of this goddamn life. His wife left him. I mean, he probably deserved it. I think he was beating her too. But in his mind, he's just like constantly working, never getting ahead. He's always broke. He's got to take care of this little kid. So, everyone's the hero in their own story, even a piece of shit like this. So it's a human side to this guy where it's like, yeah, it's not like he's just a sadist. He's paying it forward, if you will. The abuse he feels. I'm not saying that excuses the behavior at all, of course, but he's not a happy camper. He's not very happy with his life. So I guess he's shit rolls downhill, as they say, unfortunately. So after the father leaves, he basically says, I got to get to work. Oh, I'll see you tonight, though. So this poor kid is just like, oh, great. So I guess his father's favorite weapon of choice is this crowbar. So he takes the crowbar and he hides it. I think he throws it in the basement. And then he rides off to school. He's already late for school, but he wants to get there in time for the hot lunch, because that's how broke his dad is. He can barely feed. There's barely any food in the house. So he's just like, oh, gotta make it. But he has to stop by this pet store, and he sees this adorable dog. That's a really well-drawn dog. That makes me want to adopt that dog, even though he doesn't exist. And he says, oh, I wish I could buy you, but my dad doesn't make enough money. So his stomach is growling. He's running to the cafeteria, and it looks like they're closing up shop. This shitty, I don't know if she's a lunch lady or teacher. And she's just like, oh, how nice of you to join us this late. And And it seems like gleefully, she's like, well, we've closed the kitchen, so you get no lunch. But this nice lunch lady, she says, Joshua, there you are. And she even tells a little fib. She says, oh, thanks for running that errand for me. Sorry I made you late for lunch. Here you go. So this woman's a fucking saint. She's in one panel, and I love her. And this other mean woman, she's like, I don't understand. He's got a perfectly good parent. She has no clue. She probably doesn't even want to know. She's just a shit. So I guess he even mentions how the last time the counselors talked to Dad, he began hitting me with a phone book in between so that the bruises wouldn't show. So his father's a fucking terrible guy. So he has hiding places in school where he likes to hide things. And he's in the boiler room. He's taking these bricks out of the wall. Seems like a pretty dilapidated school with just holes in the wall. And he finds this egg, a giant egg. So he takes it home, and he's in his dad's like little office in the house. And he knows he shouldn't be there. His dad has a strict rule about never coming to my room, my little office. But his dad has this good lamp there, and he figures, I've got to incubate this egg. And this kid's so excited. He's like, I know you're going to hatch soon, and then you'll be all mine. And whatever you are, I'm going to adopt you and call you Joshua Jr. I'm sorry, his name's Joshua. So it's almost like he really has this yearning to be a father to some little thing smaller than himself. But his dad comes home, and he catches him in his room. And he says, bend over as he takes his belt off. He's going to wail on him. And the kid says, this is so sad. He says, oh God, oh God, oh God. I wish Daddy didn't love me so much. Because he really has this fucked up view about oh, Daddy does this because he loves me. He says, I hope he doesn't find the egg. I hope it doesn't hatch, because then he might love it to death. He says, I'll be a good daddy to you, egg. My daddy shows me how to be a good daddy. We have the letter page, and then we have the 10th chapter of One Trick Ripoff. I don't know if you guys remember where we were, but Vim. Vim has the gun, and I guess she's shaken off the mental control. She hasn't. So she's firing at her love, Tubby, and also this other guy, Tricky, who's a bastard. And she's screaming, freaking out. She's like, I can't control it. He's forcing me to do this. Luckily, she doesn't have very good aim, and she misses them until the gun is depleted of bullets. So then Jesse, the bad guy, he runs away. So Tubby and Tricky continue to yell at each other, kind of posing. I'll kill you, you motherfucker. Come on. And then Vim says, cut it out. Stop it. Jesse's in the back with all the loot, she says. Let's stop fighting. We have to put our heads together, or none of us will get anything. So they agreed to split the take 50-50. And I guess Jesse's up on the roof. So they kind of split up, and they're like, okay, we'll catch him. One of us will intercept him. And Tubby and Vim go up to the roof. They run out there, and Tricky has already offed. He's knifed Jesse and taken all the money in this little bag. And of course, Tricky's a bastard, so he's like, oh no, this is all mine. And then Tricky makes a getaway. He jumps over this chasm in between these two roofs. God, that's such a good panel. I mean, I haven't commented on the art, guys. Paul Pope. What an ink slinger. Just all this, it just looks so good. The storytelling, the drawing, definitely the amount of, the way he applies like black. You know, he's such a good black and white artist. So now we have part 4 of The Ninth Gland by Renee French. And so it's right where we left off. That little creature that this ponytail girl has inherited, it pees on her. And she says, ow, it burns. And then all of a sudden she doesn't feel so good. She feels dizzy. And then she starts tripping out. So I guess the pee of this little creature is hallucinogenic. And her little friend comes up to her, and this is how she sees her. Getting weirder and weirder. Renee French is so good at this, like just, I mean, no, I don't think anyone would argue Renee French is like, oh, she's the best illustrator ever. She has her little style, but this is horrifying. This is how she sees her friend's face warping until it's this. The whole time she's talking to her, you know, she's hearing her words in real time, but this is how she sees it because she's tripping balls. So her friend says, give me that little guy. Give it to me. She keeps seeing her like, this is how she sees her friend. This is horrifying imagery. Look at this. Renee French is definitely like, she's up there with like really visionary artists where she just, I don't know where she comes up with this stuff. She definitely has some kind of link to some kind of crazy collective unconscious of nightmare visions. So her friend says, don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. And then look at this great trippy imagery. This is like right out of an underground, some wonky underground from the late 60s, early 70s. That's amazing stuff. So then she finds her little creature. She named him Gus. I forgot to mention that. And she kind of passes out finally. And she wakes up, and it seems like she's not tripping anymore. And it's that old guy from the hospital and her friend. And he's asking her questions like, how did you burn your leg? First question she has is, where's Gus? And apparently, like, it really burned her. Look at this. That urine from Gus, like, very toxic. She says she doesn't even feel it, though. And so then she's still asking, where's Gus? And that's where we leave off for this issue. Oh, yeah, just a bunch of ads. But then we have an inside back cover, Shannon Wheeler's Too Much Coffee Man. Never a fan of this comic. It just seems so trendy. It was like during the 90s, everything was about cafes and how hip it was to hang out at cafes, and then this comic came out. He's not that bad. I'm just not a fan, really. And this has nothing to do with coffee. And we see Too Much Coffee Man here. And it is kind of a funny concept. If you want to feel better about yourself, just hang out with people who are worse off than you. If you feel fat, find a fatter friend. Stupid, find someone stupider. And so he surrounds himself with these losers so he can feel better about himself. Kind of a funny idea. Here's the back cover. And let's go to number 111. And Ninth Gland takes the cover spot. And this is an artist. Obviously, this isn't Renee French. They got this guy, Eric White. I never heard of him before. Apparently, he did album covers. He did, like, art for Mondo 2000 and, like, fancy magazines. You can kind of tell this looks like a very 90s thing. This could be an Entertainment Weekly or something. But it's pretty good. A pretty interesting interpretation of Renee French's characters. Very Walter Keane inspired. Huge eyes. Pretty good stuff. And now we start off with part 5 of The Ninth Gland. So, the ponytail girl is describing what happened, how she started seeing weird things after Gus peed on her. And she's still asking, where is Gus? And she says, Gus is behind that door, right? And the guy says, I wouldn't go in there if I were you. She says, I'm going in. And when she walks in, she sees the mama creature on the operating table still. And she hugs it. I think it's dead. Pretty sure. I guess their surgery wasn't up to snuff. She accuses the guy of killing them both. She says, you killed them both, didn't you? And he tells her that Gus died while she was asleep. She wants to see the body, though. And, I'm sorry, her name's Helen. I keep calling her the ponytail girl. He says, Helen, I think you should just take your sister and go home. And as she walks away, I love this. She just says, murderer, murderer. With these kind of dead eyes. And then she says, I hate you. And then this guy continues to do this autopsy on this weird creature. Just incredibly repulsive imagery. I don't know what these organs are. Some kind of intestines. Just repulsive. So now we have another Bob Schreck editorial. I guess no letters this month. He talks about that artist Eric White. So now we have Egg Part 2. So now we kind of get the father's point of view. And he's a salesman. He's not very good at his job, it sounds like. That's why they're so broke. And, I mean, he's a horrible guy, but you almost feel sad for the guy. His life sucks. And his boss is riding his ass. And so he goes home. It looks like he's had a few belts from this flask of booze. And I guess the kid was eating some cookies. And this pisses him off. He's like, you're supposed to eat a sandwich. Cookies are too expensive. And he finds the spilt milk on the floor. And he starts slapping the shit out of him. Luckily, we don't have to see it. We just see that. It's kind of an interesting way of showing it. Just the hands raised. Slap, smack, pump. Oh, it turns to fists. He passes out in front of the TV. And when he wakes up, he's looking for his tire iron. His favorite weapon of choice. And he goes into the other room, and this giant creature comes out. He's like, what the hell? He's like, what was that? He thinks it's a dog. So he runs into Joshua's room, and he's furious. He's like, is that your dog? I'm going to teach you a lesson. I know you're hiding this dog somewhere. He starts tearing his closet apart. And of course, he's slapping him around, beating him up more. This comic is very sad. It's just a sad little story. And then we see him go into this other room. He's looking for the dog, quote unquote. And he finds something very different than a dog. And this thing, even though it's some kind of animal that can hold a crowbar. And we'll find out what happens next issue. Now, chapter 11 of One Trick Ripoff. And Tricky successfully makes the leap across to the next building. And Tubby says he's an idiot. That building's condemned. And the next page, Tricky falls through the ceiling. This is some really dilapidated building. And so Tubby says, I'm going after him. Love this beautiful thing of him just leaping the night sky. And she says, Tubby, wait for me. And she finds a ladder and she crosses the chasm in between. And she sees the hole in the ceiling that Tricky made when he fell. And Tubby goes through the same hole. And he's trying to reason with the guy, saying, like, we had a deal. And this guy's a bastard. He's just like, you're a moron for trusting me. You're an idiot. I'm keeping all the money. So, of course, they start tussling. And Vim is trying to find her. And we see them both at this balcony, basically. And it looks like they're going to go over. And, of course, oh, look at this page, guys. This is just masterful comic book art. This is so good. Love this. And so that's where we leave off this issue. And once again, we get another Too Much Coffee Man by Shannon Wheeler. And he's talking about how it's amazing that every day we have to just trust people with our lives. Every time you cross the street, someone could just run you over. We trust the mechanic who works on our brakes. We trust the cooks in restaurants who could be poisoning us. And he says, our lives are constantly in the hands of total strangers. And the camera pulls back and we see the artist, Shannon Wheeler, drawing him. Because it's true. His life is constantly in the hands of a total stranger. Oh, we get a little bonus back cover art. This is Eric White again. I believe this is called Paranoia. And we see this crazy conspiracy theory guy wigging out. His bookshelf is all crazy conspiracy stuff. So, number 112. Oh, I gotta show this off. For the special finale of the 12-part serial, the one trick ripoff, we had nice wraparound cover, which I don't know if Dark Horse Presents ever did this. Pretty nice seeing all these random characters. Really nice colors on this. I love this orange, kind of burnt orange color. So now we have contents page, and we have One Trick Ripoff starts off the issue. We see Tubby and Tricky. They've crashed to the floor below. Man, just this ink work here, that lettering, everything about this. Look at this crazy, almost phantasmagoria of ink lines. It's almost abstract art. It's so good. So they continue to fight, and then I think Tricky gets away because Tubby's all by himself now, and he says, Vim, what did we do? What was it worth it? She's just happy that he's safe and unharmed. And she basically is trying to comfort him. She says, I love you. I love you. I gotta say, this, you barely know anything about these characters, but this is really just like powerful romantic shit going on. Like this panel of them kissing, it's like, man, that's love. Even though this girl looks way too young. Sorry. Pulpo Boys does that. And look at this just amazing background here. Yes, I think I missed something. No, I don't know. Maybe Tricky's dead? Because it looks like the bag of money is floating all around. It looks like these are bills. And then look at this. The camera pulls back, and we just get these amazing, evocative, really cool black and white images of the city. Look at this. This is the cityscape. Look at that's just like it's like brutalist art. It's like if you were in an art class and they said, draw a cityscape. Your teacher would be like, come on. that's no city looks like that. You didn't put enough work in. But it's amazing. This image to me is so cool and so wonderful. But it's just completely bizarre. And then that's the end. But he gives us this little page, this really nice drawing of the Tubby and Vim. This is where she looks way too young. Look at her there. She's like a little kid. And it's basically Paul Pope just thanking the audience, thanking the editors. And kind of, you rarely see this in comics. But you do get another illustration, which is nice. We got the letter pages. 2 of them. Then we have part 6 of the 9th Gland. This is the final chapter. And so remember the guy from the hospital? He's been doing this autopsy on this weird creature. He's cutting out various parts. Oh, God, that gross tongue. He's cutting out the tongue. And the 2 sisters are back home. And like it looks like they do surgery on their little stuffed animals. So, the sister without the ponytails, with the little the bangs, she's doing surgery on her stuffed rabbit. She says, "I'm going to remove his bladder and replace it with a healthy one." And she says it didn't work. He's dead. So she says, quick, remove his eyes. We can give them to my bear so he can see. I don't know why her bear has these, like, cotton bulges for eyes. And they sew the buttons on the bear. And we see little Gus. Turns out Gus isn't dead. It looks like this guy's still experimenting on Gus. And so if you guys remember, this guy lives... I don't know why he's allowed to live in the basement of the hospital. He's like I think he's the caretaker. And there's I guess he has a doorbell, and somebody's ringing the doorbell. He seems really peeved. And it's that nurse from, I believe, 3 issues ago, the one making out with the doctor. And she says, Huey, can I come in? That's his name, Huey. She says, I dropped something through the grate. It must be in your apartment. So you remember that dental fixture? And her head nurse was like, you better get that. His bridge. And you can tell he doesn't like anyone in his place, like an intruder. Even though she's this kind of hot lady, he's just like, I'll look for it. I'll tell you if I find it. Then she says, do you have an aspirin? I have a headache. And he says, I think I have some in the bathroom. So when he goes to get the aspirin, she sees that, corpse of the creature he's been experimenting on. And of course she's just like, what the fuck is going on down here? As you would. And we see little Gus, who's still alive. He's doing some kind of sick fucking experiment on him. He's got a hose coming out of his pee hole and a hose coming out of his mouth. And then we just see 2 jars. And that's the end of the whole story. It's pretty frustrating. It's not really an ending. It's kind of annoying. But I gotta say the ride getting here is just, her stuff is so repulsive and yet so fascinating. So I don't know if this was ever continued, maybe. That's why it ends so abruptly. But yeah, I want to know more. I want to know what happens to little Gus and those 2 little girls. I don't know. Renee French is definitely a singular artist. So now Egg Part 3, the last part. Frank Levis writer, Christopher Shank artist. And so this guy sees this monster that came out of the egg. The father, sorry. He says, Joshua, what the hell is that? And he says, it's from the egg. I love you. Don't hit me. And then we see his point of view, the monster's point of view. He says, wow, I'm finally meeting him, Joshua's daddy. He's the one who taught Joshua all about how to raise children. That's why Joshua hits me when I'm bad. because he's trying to teach me to be good. And so Joshua is my daddy, and this is his daddy. So there's basically, he's like a newborn. But it's so sad that just this whole cycle of violence he's now inheriting it. And he is sublimated it into his consciousness of like, oh yeah, that's how it is. Your father beat you because he loves you and wants you to be good. And then he says, I have to show my granddaddy how much I love him. And the father, of course, is like, put down that crowbar. And this poor little creature thinks, oh yeah, he's so twisted by this whole cycle of violence. He's like, oh yeah, I'm doing it right. The father, my grandfather, looks just as terrified as Joshua does when his father beats him. So I think I'm loving him correctly, basically. And so he's chasing the father around with a crowbar. And Joshua wants him to stop. Joshua loves his dad, sadly. And he's like, no, don't hurt my dad. So the creature starts whapping him with the crowbar. Looks like he breaks his knee. The father grabs a knife. He knocks the crowbar from the little creature's hand and then slashes his face with the knife. Joshua's like, no, Daddy, no. Stop all this hurting. And the father is just like, you've ruined my life since you were born. He's like, but no, I love you. God, that's so sad and pathetic. And then he says to the monster, he's like, come here. He's going to take care of it. And then it looks like the monster got the better of the father. So he doesn't even show us the violence. We just see the father lying there in a pool of his own blood. And we see these little reports and notes from the child welfare services, child protection services. And Joshua says, I never saw my son again. So the monster just disappeared. And now probably Joshua's going to be in foster care forever until he's 18. So we see him at the foster home. And, he's 8 years old, so nobody's going to adopt him. He's too old. But he does miss his little Joshua Jr. And then he says, I loved him like a real son, Joshua Jr., the monster. I'd like to have a real son someday and be a daddy. And I never, ever, ever lay a hand on him. So somehow with all this horror, this kid did learn. Like, yeah, what my dad did wasn't love. That's not a good thing. But then that's what we think. I'm sorry, guys. I meant to say, you think like, oh, he's learned something. But then he says, I'd never lay a hand on him unless he was bad and there was no other way. Then that would be all right. All parents spank their kids. That would be all right. That would be all right. Oh, man. That's some bleak shit. It's just going to continue. If he ever does have a son, yeah, he'll be like his dad. And he'll think he's doing the right thing. He'll be the hero in his own story, even though he's a monster. Man. Sorry to bring you down, guys. I'm bummed out now. Pretty good story. I mean, I wish it was drawn a little better. I mean, the guy's not a great writer, but interesting idea using this like monster story to talk about child abuse. And it was pretty well done, I think. But, nothing to write home about. But, yeah, it was definitely moving. It definitely made me sad and kind of angry, too. So there you go, guys. 3 serials all ending in number 112. So next time, we'll have a bunch of new stuff to look at in our look at Dark Horse Presents. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Some really great stuff. Bob Schreck, amazing editor, and just I doff my cap to him. I've never said that expression before in my life. I don't know why I just said that. Doff my cap. Evening, Governor. But yeah, these issues are gold. I mean, One Trick Ripoff has been collected. I believe the Ninth Gland has been collected. So once again, if you like these certain stories, a lot of this stuff you can just get the graphic novel. But I don't think I have these collections, so these are gold to me. I'm really glad I own these because, yeah, God, just Paul Pope, man. Anything by him, must have. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.